Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling one of the most debated final acts in all of literature, the last chapter of the Ramayana. Seriously, it's a conclusion that takes a story of heroic triumph and turns it into this profound tragedy, and it forces us to question everything we thought we knew about its heroes.
Okay, so let's just dive right in. The whole controversy really hangs on this one section, the final book, known as the Uttara Kanda. The big question is, was this part of the original epic written by the sage Valmiki, or was it a later edition? And trust me, this is way more than just an academic debate. It fundamentally changes how we see the story's main heroes, Rama and Sita.
You know, the debate is just fascinating because both sides have really strong points. On the one hand, a lot of scholars point to a completely different writing style, a much darker, kind of moralistic tone. And frankly, some of Rama's actions seem to totally contradict the character we got to know in the earlier books. But, on the other hand, almost all the surviving manuscripts do have this chapter. And for centuries, Hindu traditions have accepted it as a totally integral part of the story. So as we dig into this ending, let's keep that crucial context in mind.
So let's put that whole authorship debate on the shelf for a minute and just step into the story the Uttara Kanda actually tells. It doesn't start with the darkness you might be expecting. In fact, it begins with this radiant, almost perfect peace.
Just imagine this for a second. The huge war with Ravana is over. Rama, the hero king, is finally back on the throne of Ayodhya, and his beloved queen, Sita, is right there beside him. His brothers, Hanuman, all their allies, everyone's together. It's supposed to be a golden age. For just a moment, the world feels like it's in perfect harmony.
But yeah, this perfect peace is tragically short-lived. And the thing that shatters it, it's not some demon king or a supernatural threat. No, it's something way more insidious, a simple rumor.
So one night, Rama is walking through his city in disguise, just trying to get a sense of what his people are thinking. And what he hears just stops him cold. This question, this doubt being cast on his queen's honor, and, by extension, his own, it becomes this poison that starts to unravel everything.
And this right here, this sets up the central, agonizing conflict of the entire chapter. It's a clash between Rama the husband, who loves Sita more than anything, and Rama the king, whose primary duty is to his people and the honor of his kingdom.
He goes back to the palace, just completely tormented by what he's heard, and he makes a decision that has echoed through the centuries, one that remains maybe the most controversial act of his entire life. He has to banish Sita.
His brother, the always loyal Lakshmana, is just absolutely floored. He can't believe what he's hearing. He reminds Rama about the Agni Pariksha, the trial by fire, where Sita literally walked through flames, completely untouched, proving her purity to the entire world in this huge divine spectacle.
And right here, this is the heart of the tragedy. Rama's response is just devastating, because he doesn't doubt her purity. Not for a second. He knows she is innocent, but he believes his dharma, his sacred duty as a king, demands that he put the perception of his people above his own personal love, above even his own knowledge of the truth.
So, this impossible choice, it sets in motion one of the most heartbreaking scenes in all of world literature. Sita, who is pregnant with Rama's own children, is told she's just going on a nice, peaceful visit to see some forest sages. She's so happy, completely unaware of what's really happening. But then she sees Lakshmana, her loyal brother-in-law, just weeping uncontrollably, and her innocent question, "Why are you crying?" Oh, it just twists the knife. It's then that he has to tell her the king's command and leave her all alone in the wilderness.
But this is not the end of Sita's story. No way. In a lot of ways, it's a new beginning, one that's defined by her incredible resilience. Even though she's been abandoned while pregnant, she finds refuge in the ashram of the sage Valmiki himself, the supposed author of the epic. And it's there she gives birth to her twin sons, Lava and Kusha, and raises them on the very story that tells of their own parents.
Okay, so years pass, and then the story comes full circle, in the most dramatic way you can possibly imagine. Rama is holding this huge ceremony, and these two young boys with incredible voices are invited to come and recite an epic poem, and that poem is the Ramayana.
So as Lava and Kusha are singing about Rama's exile and Sita's devotion, and then, finally, her abandonment, Rama is just listening, his heart breaking. He's hearing his own story, his own life. And then he looks at their faces, and it hits him. These are his sons.
So Rama calls for Sita to return, to undergo yet another public test to satisfy the people. But
Sita, she has had enough. She's endured everything with grace and strength, but she is not going to be tested again. Instead, she stands before the entire court and makes one last, powerful plea. And it's not to the king, it's to her own mother, Bhumi Devi, Mother Earth. And in this moment of just pure divine spectacle, the ground itself responds to her call. It actually splits open and a golden throne emerges from the earth, like a testament to her undeniable purity.
Sita just calmly takes her place on the throne, and as the earth closes over her, she returns to her source, gone from the mortal world forever. A heartbroken Rama screams her name, but it's too late. He ends up ruling for many more years, but he rules alone, before eventually walking into the Sarayu River to end his own time on Earth.
So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter whether you believe this chapter was part of the original text or not. Its inclusion forces this incredibly profound question on all of us. Does this ending make Rama a tragic figure, a king who had to sacrifice his own love for what he believed was his sacred duty? Or does it reveal that Sita, resilient, dignified, and ultimately vindicated by the divine, was the true unconquerable hero of the Ramayana all along? That's the powerful question this ending leaves us with.